Arsenal are preparing for a massive European night against Atletico Madrid, but the real drama is happening off the pitch. Arteta's lineup, Zubimendi's future, and a shocking title race twist from Pep Guardiola. Arsenal predicted 11 versus Atletico Madrid. Saka and Zubimendi start as Arteta makes big call. The predicted Arsenal team to start against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League semi-final second leg at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal take on Atletico Madrid, looking to book their place in what will be just their second UEFA Champions League final. Their last was in 2006, a painful defeat to Barcelona in Paris that could be avenged, but first they must win on Tuesday. Diego Simeone's side came from behind to keep the scores level in the Spanish capital. However, everything was changed in terms of narrative by the officials, with 3 penalty decisions made, but only one was arguably given correctly. There were absences from open training, including Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz, Jurrien Timber and Mikel Merino. But whether or not any still make it back for the squad remains to be seen. Either way, Arteta has some big decisions to make. After earning back-to-back man-of-the-match plaudits for the last 2 away Champions League trips, the hope is now that the Spaniard can replace to Christian Mosquera Ben White has played a lot of football. And it might be that the Spaniard instead comes in and will have to lock down Ademola Lookman. William Saliba needs to play the game of his life to stop Julian Alvarez from being at his prime best and help keep another clean sheet in North London. Gabriel, a goal already against Atletico in the Emirates Stadium. Everyone would take a repeat of that moment from last year. Piero Hincapié, despite how good Ricardo Calafiori was against Fulham, the Ecuadorian has been in fantastic form during this run since the turn of the year. Declan Rice, playing in the deeper role to offer Mikel Arteta and Arsenal more physicality. The England international has thrived and will pull the strings tonight. Martin Zubimendi. Miles Lewis-Skelly has made a case to be involved in the semi-final, but the expectation is that Martin Zubimendi will be the starting selection for this fixture. Eberechi Eze. With Martin Odegaard missing from training, it is perhaps obvious that Eberechi Eze will come in, but it is the type of match-winning moments that he can produce which will be so clear. Bukayo Saka. What a boost it is to have Bukayo Saka back and able to start. He was electric against Fulham, and the hope is he can replicate that on Tuesday night. Victor Gyökeres. After scoring 3 goals in his last 2 games and grabbing an assist, the Swede is in the best mood of his season so far, and this form could win them a title. Or 2. Gabriel Martinelli. After Leandro Trossard played the full game against Fulham, despite doing so well, the fact a rested Gabriel Martinelli can play might give him the nod. Pep Guardiola's honest view on title race with Arsenal after Man City slip up. Manchester City now find themselves 5 points behind Arsenal in the race for the Premier League crown, with just 4 games to go, and Pep Guardiola believes the Gunners are the favourite. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola admits that the race for the Premier League is now out of his side's hands. City now sit 5 points behind rivals Arsenal, with just 4 games of the season to play following Monday's dramatic draw with Everton. Jeremy Doku had given Guardiola's side the lead at Hill Dickinson Stadium, but a stunning 13-minute collapse saw Tieno Barry score twice either side of a Jake O'Brien goal. City did manage to snatch a late point as Erling Haaland scored, while Doku fired home another in stoppage time. But it wasn't enough for the visitors, who are now powerless to stop Arsenal claiming the title should they win each of their remaining 3 games. Speaking after Monday's result, Guardiola said, "We need to win our games. Now it is not in our hands. If they win their games, the title will be for Arsenal. Now have to win our next game. We have to recover well for a series of games, and this is what we have to do." The point is better than no points, but it would have been better to win the game, the Spanish coach added. Many things happened, the difficulty of the opponent, the incredibly aggressive way they play. We had composure in the first half, and after they made a step up, we maybe didn't have the intention that we did in the first half. Our second and third goals were outstanding, and we take a point. It was in our hands and in Arsenal's hands, and now it is not in our hands. But we have Brentford on Saturday, and we continue, and we'll see what happens. Better effort cannot be possible. The message is the same as the day before. We have 4 games left and a final. Win the games. That is the message. We play for that, even with difficulties for many reasons. Guardiola, however, was full of praise for his players and the fight back they staged against Everton. He said, "We knew we had to win the game with how many games we had left, but without that emotion, you cannot come back. If you give up, you cannot do what we have done tonight. City are back in action as they host Brentford at the Etihad Stadium on Saturday, with Arsenal travelling to struggling West Ham a day later. Before that, Mikel Arteta's side have the small matter of a Champions League semi-final second leg against Atletico Madrid to navigate. Arsenal news. Zubimendi makes telling admission as Liverpool join race for signature. Arsenal are gearing up for one of the biggest weeks in their history. Arsenal's Martin Zubimendi has opened up about how he has changed since arriving at the club, while a rival team has joined the Gunners in their pursuit of a highly rated forward. Mikel Arteta and his players are on the cusp of achieving greatness this season. The North Londoners currently lead the Premier League table by 6 points with 3 games left to play, although second-placed Manchester City have 2 games in hand. The 3-0 victory over Fulham at the weekend marked a potential statement win, suggesting that this could be the year Arsenal banish their past demons and end their 22-year wait for the league title. There is even more to be excited about from the Gunners' perspective as they take on Atletico Madrid in a Champions League semi-final second leg on Tuesday night, where the winner will earn a spot in the final. For Arsenal, it marks an opportunity to win the European Cup for the first time in their history and potentially land a historic double. They will then turn their attention to a crucial league fixture at West Ham. Now, Mirror Football takes a look at 2 of the latest stories involving Arteta's side ahead of a monumental week in their history. Martin Zubimendi's admission. Zubimendi says he has become a different player since joining Arsenal last summer. The Spaniard remains the only outfield player to have played in every league game for the Gunners this season, showing the monumental impact he's had since signing from Real Sociedad in a £51 million deal. Many expected that the 27-year-old would sit at the base of midfield and keep things ticking over when he was brought in. Yet Zubimendi has shown there is far more to his game, excelling as a combative number 8 and even scoring 6 goals, the best tally of his career so far. Speaking to the official Arsenal website about how he has adapted his game since arriving in England, Zubimendi said, "Once I joined the club, I realised that I had a lot to learn. Mikel's a coach who's seen a lot, who's learnt a lot, and who's studied a lot. You can see that since I've joined the club, I've become a different player. We work really hard. All of our training sessions have tactical, technical and strategic aspects. Ultimately, repetition leads to perfection, and that's what we're trying to achieve." Liverpool have reportedly rejoined the race to sign Arsenal target Bradley Barcola from Paris Saint-Germain this summer. The Gunners have been linked with the Frenchman for several years now and are expected to bolster their options in the left-wing position in the upcoming transfer window. Given Barcola is still only 23, an experienced international star and desperate for more game time, Arsenal remain a suitable destination for the silky winger. However, Team Talk reports they could face competition from rivals Liverpool in trying to secure his signature. The report says PSG rejected approaches from Liverpool in March as they were unwilling to part ways with Barcola at the time. However, it claims the French champions have revised their decision, meaning he is back on Liverpool's radar and his representatives have started looking at potential suitors. Barcola has notched 12 goals and 7 assists so far this season, having registered 42 goal involvements last season as PSG clinched a historic treble. Every word Mikel Arteta said on Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid, Havertz, Odegaard and making history. Here is every word Mikel Arteta said during his pre-match press conference ahead of Arsenal's clash with Atletico Madrid. Mikel Arteta faced the media ahead of his Arsenal side's clash with Atletico Madrid in the second leg of the UEFA Champions League semi-final. Having earned a 1-1 draw in the Spanish capital, a win of any form will take the Gunners through to their first final in the competition since 2006. The Gunners boss provided the latest team news, including the updates on Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz and Jurrien Timber, who all missed the open training session. Yet, as expected, the Spaniard was typically elusive with his answers. The weight of the game is what truly came across in Arteta's answers. The knowledge that this Arsenal side are on the verge of history with victory, and one which could create a truly unique achievement for the club. Here is every word from the manager. Before we get into stuff about the game tomorrow night, can I have some team news updates, please? There was no Kai Havertz, Jurrien Timber, Martin Odegaard in training today, so are they available for tomorrow? Yeah, they're available, and the squad, both of them. How much is it a boost to have Havertz? Great, because we need options. We need the capacity to play different games tomorrow, whether it's from the start or after. So it's really, really good news for us to have them both back. And just to clarify, that's Havertz and Odegaard. Yes. You said tomorrow's game is one of the biggest in the stadium's history, so what are you looking forward to? I can't wait. I mean, I feel the energy in and amongst the team, our supporters. So this is the moment that we want to live together. We have a lot of work as a club, as a team, after 20 years to be in this position again. And we are so hungry to get the game that we want tomorrow and go through to that final. On Saturday, Bukayo Saka looked back to his best. So just how important is it to have him in his top level? Great. That's what we need when we arrive in this stage of the competition. For the players not only to be available, but to be in top condition to perform and make the difference. And Bukayo certainly gave us that. On Friday, you talked about defining a piece of history in the club's history. Tomorrow night feels just as epic. What an opportunity. How excited are you and the squad, and how ready are you to craft that opportunity? Huge excitement, really hungry. It's difficult to express the desire to live that moment, especially with our people in front of them. They've been waiting for so long to have this kind of night. Push hard tomorrow because it's something amazing that's going to happen. What is your final message to both players and the fans? Go and grab it. When you are in front of such an opportunity, it means that you are ready to deliver. And the team is going to go from the first minute to go and get that. You're so close now to achieving something extraordinary, something historic. Often managers in this position tell their players that we're going to ban any talk of titles, ban any talk of Champions League winning that trophy. Can you give us an insight into what your approach is, whether you've had any of those conversations with the players? No. The conversation is always, first of all, to get the best preparation for the game. We know the game that we're going to be playing tomorrow, the games that we're going to play tomorrow within that game. Be prepared, be ready, be quality, be clarity, and deliver on the day. That's the most important thing. Visualization is a very powerful thing. Have you allowed yourself maybe to think about the end goal? Have you pictured Martin Odegaard lifting those trophies? I've done it many years ago. The thing that I had in mind for this club, you can never promise to win major trophies. You can promise to work every single day with the vision and implementing and being determined with the ideas and the decisions that you take to bring this club to be one of the best in Europe. Here we are. Now we have to make the next step. Just one final one for me. It concerns Miles Lewis-Skelly. How big of a selection headache has it given you? Was it an expected selection headache? No, because I know Miles, but the same with Miles, the same with Richie, all the players, Mosquera when he's been involved, a lot of players. So that's a good thing. We always talked about, in this moment, we need players with a great emotional state, because I think that determines the rest, and we are feeling very good for tomorrow. How much of your message to the players is to have no regrets tomorrow night? And when they walk off that pitch, they can look in the mirror and say, I left everything out there. The first word I never like to put into such a big night is about what we want to happen, what we are going to do. That's the thing that we'll be discussing. What makes you believe this time you can make it to the final when a year ago you weren't able to take that final step? What I see every single day. They have given me the reason to believe, to trust these players and to be convinced that we can do it in any context against any opponent. This is football, and tomorrow we're going to have to prove it throughout the game. At left back, you've got two very good players who've had very good seasons. How do you perceive those two, Piero and Richie? What kind of qualities and how they differ? Can you give us an indication of what you might want from them tomorrow? Very different. We rarely had both of them available at the same time for long periods. We're more restricted in terms of the opponent and the connection that we want to generate throughout the game or with the teammates to choose from there. Now they are both available, and that's a great option because they are, as you said, so different. Atletico have rotated their entire starting lineup over the weekend. Do you think the win over Fulham that came in is even better preparation for your side? For us, it's great preparation. It's the preparation and the schedule that we have. We maximise that in every team, and the team has so much energy and is ready to go for more. There's quite a lot of supporter activity planned for tomorrow. The fans are hoping to meet the bus when it arrives at the stadium. There's a huge tifo that will be unveiled for the East End. What's your message to the supporters ahead of the game? What do you want them to bring tomorrow? I don't think his message is needed. It's what is at stake. He says it all. I think it's his location, it's the moment, it's the game. Let's live this together and let's make it happen. A lot of the emotive words are history and excitement. We don't normally speak to you so late before a home game. How will you relax tonight? Will you sleep well? And if you're struggling, we're going to go and watch the Everton match in the pub if you want to join us. I will sleep well for sure. I'm used to working this type of hours, so there is no change. And there is a change for the reason to play the Champions League semi-final tomorrow. That's great. These are two teams that are very well established in Europe, yet to lift the Champions League trophy. What does that say to you about the difficulty of this competition and how much these teams will both want it so much? Well, how tough is it to be in the position that we are in? And in our history, it tells us. And the level of every team and the competition shows every day that being here deserves a lot of credit to everybody that is involved in it. And obviously, we know where we want to be. Atletico had the benefit of resting the majority of their players at the weekend that we expect to start. You didn't have that luxury because of what you have at stake in the league. But was it almost slightly more beneficial to gain that momentum and how you won that game against Fulham to lead you into this than having 11 players rested?
Yes, and as well, we didn't do anything related to tomorrow's game. Everything was related to Fulham and what we have to do to win the Premier League. And that's what we did. I think it left a really good taste to everybody, the players, the team, the supporters. And now we have to use that momentum towards tomorrow because it's exactly what we need. Last week, it was quite an intimidating atmosphere for the away leg, but you cope with it really well.
How much do you think your supporters can make it intimidating for Atletico? Real Madrid respond to Arsenal. Chelsea inquiries about stunning Endrick deal. Real Madrid have no intention of allowing Endrick to leave this summer, Team Talk can reveal, despite fresh interest from Arsenal and Chelsea. With sources also telling us about the future of Jacobo Ramon. Endrick has enjoyed an impressive second half of the season on loan at Lyon, scoring 7 goals and registering 7 assists in 18 matches in all competitions and reigniting the excitement around his long-term potential. The 19-year-old Brazil international striker had previously pushed for a temporary move after struggling for opportunities under then Real Madrid manager Xabi Alonso, who has since departed. Endrick is now focused on forcing his way into the Brazil national team squad ahead of the upcoming World Cup, and his recent form has only strengthened his case. That resurgence has not gone unnoticed. Sources understand that both Arsenal and Chelsea have made inquiries over the teenager's availability in recent weeks, exploring whether a deal could be struck this summer. However, Madrid's stance is clear. Sources have confirmed that the Spanish giants have informed both Arsenal and Chelsea that Endrick will be returning to Estadio Bernabeu and is firmly part of their first-team plans for next season. Crucially, sources understand that Endrick himself is also eager to stay and fight for his place in the Madrid team next season. The Brazilian striker wants at least one more opportunity to establish himself as a regular in Madrid's first team. That stance is fully backed at the highest level, with club president Florentino Perez maintaining his long-held belief that Madrid signed the best young player in world football. Want more breaking transfer lines from original sources? Add Team Talk as a preferred source on Google to your favourites list for news you can trust. Real Madrid's stance on Jacobo Ramon. Sources Endrick is not the only young talent attracting Premier League attention. We can also reveal that Arsenal and Chelsea are maintaining regular contact with Madrid over Jacobo Ramon, the highly rated central defender currently playing for Como. Ramon, who is featuring alongside Nico Paz, has impressed during his spell in Italy under Cesc Fabregas and is moving back to Madrid. While technically a Como player following his move from Los Blancos last summer, the Spanish side retained buyback and sell-on clauses, meaning his situation is effectively viewed as a loan arrangement similar to Paz. As it stands, sources indicate that Ramon is now expected to return to Madrid this summer alongside Endrick and Paz, with the club keen to integrate their young players into their future plans. Interest in Ramon is widespread, with more than half a dozen clubs tracking his progress, but the response from Madrid is likely to mirror their stance on Endrick, firm and unwavering. For Arsenal, Chelsea and other suitors, the message is clear. Madrid are not prepared to let their brightest young talents slip away. Jamie Carragher and Thierry Henry agree on defining Arsenal match in title race. Manchester City's failure to beat Everton on Monday night means Arsenal have a 5-point advantage in the Premier League title race, with just a handful of games remaining. Jamie Carragher believes Arsenal can wrap up the title this weekend if they can beat West Ham after Manchester City dropped points against Everton. The former Premier League champions headed to Hill Dickinson Stadium knowing that only a win would do, with Arsenal 6 points ahead of them, albeit having played 2 games more. But a second-half implosion meant they had to settle for a 3-3 draw, with Jeremy Doku rescuing a point right at the death. City's failure to win means their fate is no longer in their own hands, with Arsenal 5 points ahead of their rivals. And while nothing will be confirmed this weekend, Carragher and Gunners legend Thierry Henry both pinpointed this weekend's trip to West Ham as a decisive one in terms of the destination of the title. From an Arsenal perspective, tonight is about the league, but can you imagine the stadium tomorrow for the excitement for the competition, the energy from the fans that will be in that stadium? To get to a Champions League final, the league is in your hands with 3 games to go. If Arsenal win against West Ham next Sunday, they win the league. Henry stressed that he would not be getting ahead of himself as there is still scope for Arsenal to also drop points, and pinpointed the trip to West Ham as the game that worried him the most. The Frenchman said, "I thought Man City would drop points at Everton. They came back into the game and he has to be positive because they still have plenty of points to play." The only thing that has changed is it is now in Arsenal's hands only, he continued. Now it's back in Arsenal's hands. It's not in Man City's hands anymore. I said at the beginning of the show that I could see City dropping points against Everton and that I'm worried about the West Ham game. So I'm going to stay in my lane and not celebrate too early because nothing is done. But I could see that happening. I saw a bit of nervousness with City because they imploded. They brought Everton back into the game with some mistakes. The game became crazy. Arsenal can see that Man City dropped 2 points, but you can't start to think that, maybe. There's no maybe. Win your games. Don't look at City. It's in your hands.